Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we're recording. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 6:34. And reminding everyone that this meeting is being recorded, digitally recorded, so please be respectful of each other, both when you're speaking and just listening also. Is there anyone here for open session? Okay. Katie, for the announcements, please.
Alright, we
Thank
got a
you.
bunch of fun stuff coming up this month. So, May 6th, which is Friday, the Double Barrel Band and Flippin' the Bird will be at Rod and Gun from 6 to 10. All are welcome. It's open to the public. On May 7th, there is a Youth Join Seniors or Senior Join Youth, depending on which way you want to look at it. I've seen it written both ways. But in Harmony, it is a live concert. It is a free concert at the Hubbardston Center School at 2 p.m. And that is being put on by the Hubbardston Cultural Council. So over at the school, check it out Sunday, 2 o'clock. On May 13th, there is a fishing derby for ages 14 and under from 8 to 11 at the Rod and Gun.
Do you have to be able to hold your own pole?
Guessing not. They usually will let little. I don't think so, but you could double check at the Rod and Gun. But either way, they're having for 14 and under. So if it's 14 and under, I would imagine they let adults help the littles. So, but they're having a fishing derby 8 to 11 at the Rod and Gun. May 18th, there is the West African Drum Workshop at the library from 7 to 8 p.m. May 20th and 21st is the Spring Fling at the Plainview Alpaca Farm from 10 to 4. There's a lot of local crafters and artisans going to be down there, so definitely check that out. May 23rd, there is a pastel painting. I think it's called Live Rose. I think they're doing the painting of a live rose over at the library. You have to sign up in advance. Registrations you can find on the library website. And that is from 6 to 8 p.m. on May 23rd. On May 29th, we are having the Memorial Day Parade. Starts at 11:15, and the ceremony on the Common starts at about noon. And then afterwards, everybody is welcome over here for ice cream and hot dogs from the Senior Center and the Lions. We'll be doing that over here in the town offices.
And that date again was?
That is the 29th.
On the 29th?
Yep, the 29th.
Yep.
June 6th is our town meeting, just in case y'all didn't know. 7 p.m. Be there. June 10th is the Hubbardston Fair from 9 to 2 with a rain date of the 11th. And then June 13th from 7 to 8 p.m. our town elections. So that gives a whole bunch of stuff this month coming up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions on any of that from the board? Okay. We have a consent agenda, the approval of the April 3rd meeting. I believe we were all there. Appointments and resignations, basically we're waiving the waiting periods, etc. Are there any holds from anyone or questions on any of this? If we could have a motion then to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any question, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, okay. Taken care of. Go to new business, budget line item. We'll turn it over to Nate.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will open the line item budget on the big screen, but you all have a copy. The way I was thinking we would go through this is line by line, saying things such as, does anyone have any questions on sections 0 through 35? So that's how I'm thinking we will go through that. Basically the pages. This version of the budget does include the additional $5,000 in the finance committee that Heather had mentioned during the last meeting, bringing our grand total of free cash for one-time expenses to $91,039. So that you can see all broken out on the cover page of the document. Should a similar scenario play out with the schools this year as it did last year, we will likely have to take from what we put into our reserve and use the last bit of that free cash surplus to get us there. I'm hoping that that won't be the case, but we should not have to make substantive cuts like we did last year, as long as the school stays within their buoys, that they were already saying. With that, I will open up the line item review. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns on page 1?
Any changes on page 1 other than FinCom from last meeting?
No. That's the only change in this whole document,
Okay.
Which was what, again?
FinCom.
Oh, yeah.
We increased the reserve fund amount, remember it was originally, I think, dropped down to 25, and we increased it to 30 as I was having a panic attack.
Okay, all right.
I have a question.
Yes.
What are the buoys from the school committee?
Oh, I was just trying to keep it between there. They came out 2 weeks ago in that email at 9.02% over last year. It equates to about $488,000. I sent it out in budget revision 2.
Okay.
All right, any questions on page 1? Moving to page 2, any questions on page 2? This is still all within the confines of general government.
37 through 76, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris, the school came down from 13 and some change to 9 and some change after the House numbers came out. Now that the House budget has been completed, it's going to go to the Senate. If it passes the Senate with the House numbers, it may go down a little bit more, but I am skeptical to say that it will go down to our 6% that we have
Yep.
in the budget.
Still a big nut for us.
It's huge.
Certainly is.
All right,
But that reduction too, though, from the 14 to 9 strictly was the House money. They didn't really cut anything.
For transportation
Yeah, no, the
explicitly.
school didn't cut anything.
Right.
No, they got more state funds. Yeah.
Line 77 through the end of general government. Does anyone have any questions on that portion?
To the end of June.
Yeah, so this top part.
Oh, okay. For supplies.
All right, public safety, the fun stuff. Lines 93 through 110.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any questions about the police budget?
What, I do, if I may
Yes.
speak. Is the, taser charge at 16,150 for 23? I mean 24?
Mm-hmm.
Is the 16,000?
So it all kind of came together because the charge increased it by about $12,000.
Yeah.
But a lot of the costs that came off by Sergeant Kuchar becoming Chief Kuchar in the educational lines, in the training lines, and all of that stuff kind of leveled it out a little bit. So
Okay.
you can see that there really isn't too much of an increase in the police line as a whole,
Mhm.
even though we did have that substantial increase in the taser equipment.
Okay, thank you.
So when you say taser, you're talking about this 630% police equipment?
Yes.
Okay, and why the decreases? Why the other big decreases? Why the decreases in education, and why the decreases in stipends and allowances, and why the decreases in supplies?
That's all. So the decrease in supply is the only thing that wasn't the movement of of Chief Kuchar, because he was getting a substantial amount of educational incentive and support for different trainings, etc. The supplies line has a decrease because we were previously paying for the taser supplies out of the supply line, and now it's all included in that one contract.
Okay.
Alright, lines 112 through 147, so that's fire, ambulance, and land use.
So circa 125, 126, equipment old overlay, old outlay, can you just refresh my memory what that is
125, 126.
for fire?
That is, I'd have to look, I asked him about this too, I have it written down. There's equipment and it falls into two categories. Can I email you the
Yeah,
exact?
That's
Yeah.
fine, I just,
Cause it's all equipment, but it falls into two categories, and I forget what he said about that, but it's,
I just was wondering why we're calling it old outlay.
yeah. That is a term that has been carried over from previous budgets.
Okay. So if we can, even if you just drop that and just equipment, I'm totally cool with
Yeah.
it. I'm just not sure what they're referencing by old outlay.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds like it's something that's repetitive year after year. But why do you keep having an old outlay year after year?
Under the ambulance, remember I asked last time, ambulance pro services in both of the services and the supplies? Did we end up figuring out what that was? Is that like coastal billing in one and then a cost for something else in the other?
I believe so. Let me talk to Chief Hayes about those two things and get back to you.
At a third, medical supplies versus medical supplies new?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all split up for, I'm almost certain the same reason, and I will just have to ask him that really quick. It's all kind of,
And if there's a better title to call it, Nate, just call it the better.
yeah, that's, I tried to not recreate the wheel with a lot of things, and that's some of them. So in the future, I hope to be able to clarify some of those. I'll make sure to BCC the entire board when I answer those questions.
That's all I have for questions on this page.
Anyone else? Fire, ambulance, and land use? Emergency management.
So, under dispatch, Nate, are we on that page? That's the next one down, sorry, I didn't jump ahead, did I? Under dispatch, so we dropped, and maybe this was here last time, I didn't see it.
Flip it.
It's on the back, it's 166.
They kinda.
So what happens there is he overestimates, the actual amount of our bill was 103. So after talking to all of the regional town administrators, I increased by what would be a large increase over the 103 that we currently have this year. And last year, we budgeted with the number that Director Moriarty was grossly over budgeting. It happens every year.
Okay, so, but going from 142 to 125, is that
Yep.
what that is?
Yep.
So we originally overdid it, now we've adjusted?
I've adjusted
Okay.
to not overdo from last year, because last year we actually budgeted in the 150s and cut from it to once the school budget was approved. And when I was talking to a lot of the other town administrators, they had asked me to go back, and it was the case. Every year we over budgeted. 2 years ago was about 99,000.
Okay.
This year was 103. The reason he does that is what he claims is if there was ever a year he didn't get that grant, that he gets every year.
You're talking about,
Support and incentive
Yeah.
grant from state 911. It offsets the cost of a variety of things. So when you say 103, you mean 103,000, just so
103.
happens that 1.03 is also the percentage point
Yes,
increase,
our
okay.
bill this year was approximately $103,000.
Cool, thank you.
So what does that 1.03 represent?
The increase over last year?
The increase over the number that we actually have in the coffers for that account.
Do we know what the population number increase was from 22 to 23? Cause that's what, this is for 23, or was this 24?
It's
24.
24, so he won't know that yet. That's why it's estimated.
So that's the difference between 123, 731 and 125?
Yep. Education. Kind of beat this one.
Monty Tech was less.
Yep, Monty Tech, because we went down by a handful of students, not too many. Sent you guys that letter when we got it. Alright. Public Works, lines 176 through 209.
This is the same as it was last meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
What's longevity mean?
How long you've been there. Their union contract calls for
Years in
different
service.
incentives when you have hit a different marker in terms of years of service.
Okay.
Just a curiosity question, Nate, general highway support, is that training or is that under employee support 5110?
That's training.
Okay.
I have to sit down with Travis to discuss what we're going to do in terms of his clerk. So we'll post it when it is appropriate to do so. We're to be respectful to the family, but we'll have to have a conversation about the emergency management stipend and the clerk, cause at 16 hours per week, we may run into the same problem as we ran into with the assessor's clerk, that it's just not enough to incentivize someone to come out and do the work. I hope we can find someone, but
Nate, the winter wages, we had some people plowing that were not full-timers, correct?
yes.
Does that include, they're paid, okay, all right.
Winter outside services, I would guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Oh,
and
the
last
outside
year-
services, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And winter wages are the extra people that we have come on and plow in the winter that
Gotcha.
aren't the full-time staff.
Mm-hmm.
What about municipal lights? What's that? What's the breakdown of that?
It's the few municipal lights that the town has, the
Street lights,
the
yeah.
street lights.
So electric bill for the street lights.
Electric bill for the street lights. There aren't many of them. I can get you an actual breakdown of where all the street lights are, but I do not have that off the top of my head this evening.
Do we know if they've been updated to LED? Or are they still the old?
Most of them have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Updated.
have, yeah.
Okay.
That came up last year or the year before,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
So in that, is that inclusive of, Charlie Clark Corner in the rec field, the bandstand at the rec field?
I wanna say no, but I will have to get you that answer back.
Does rec have an electricity line? This says park services and expenses.
Charlie Clark's Corner goes on the fire
Okay.
department, with the number 2 building. I'm not sure where Parks and Recs, but that should be its own separate bill with a meter, cause it has the water housing, all that stuff underneath, right, Chris?
Well, maybe we'll get that, yeah.
Yeah, with water, yeah.
Fire just had building maintenance parentheses electric. I imagine that's for the building itself, at that low cost.
Alright, any other questions with Public Works?
So under, cemetery equipment,
Mhm.
what is that reference there? Is that actually cemetery equipment, or is that more like fuel to put gas in the, lawnmower?
I believe it's fuel and the small scale things that they may need, like the wire for the, what do you call those, the
Weed
weed
whackers?
whacker and different small scale things
Okay.
that may be needed, 'cause they are pretty independent over at the cemetery.
Okay,
So-
so fuel and gas are.
Consumables,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
fuel and gas will fall under the same as everyone else, so they would fuel up at the DPW.
okay.
Human Services, which is the senior center and veterans. Just a point of note, we have no one on chapter 115, which is veterans benefits. But one of the main reasons Lauren was telling you we do not have anyone on the chapter benefits is due to a requirement that you cannot own your home. And a majority of the community does own their home. Lauren works every Monday evening. I saw her today. And she is actively available and seeking, not seeking, but there if veterans did need the assistance, so.
That's veterans benefits,
Yes, sir.
There's no veterans down at like the Hub House?
so we've got 20K in an account for veterans benefits, and we've got no one that can leverage that because all the veterans in town own their own homes.
All of the veterans that were on chapter benefits fell off under the old veterans coordinator. That is something that I have spoken to our new veterans coordinator about looking into and doing something to ensure that we are helping any individuals that may need it.
Yes, please.
She is very much aware that we want to,
Did the rules change?
nope,
Then how did they fall off?
that's something that we're looking into because we had a severe percentage drop in our returns under local aid 2. There were a number of things missed under a previous veterans coordinator.
So is that rental assistance and food?
Yeah,
and
it's rental
stuff like that?
assistance.
Okay, medical.
And we met this woman, this new veterans administrator here, a few meetings ago, right?
Yeah, she's over there now with a meeting.
Okay.
So,
And she's on top of it?
Yes,
Okay.
A lot more than previous, I think.
yes, without going.
I mean,
to-
she's on top of our local Hubbardson situation here, the reason why everybody fell off of
Yes,
this
she's
benefit
one-
program?
She
Okay.
is the one who brought it to my attention.
Yeah, 'cause
Very
there
good.
were a lot of people that weren't getting paid, right?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be getting paid, and she got them paid.
Without going too far down talking about that, because the person is still around, there, it's being looked into,
Oh,
and I'm
I didn't-
hoping to.
I didn't say any names.
No. Culture and recreation.
Oh, I'm sorry, veterans graves, can you tell me what that means?
Wasn't that usually flags or
Yeah.
flowers for the
During the,
veterans?
That's veterans
yeah.
flags.
Well,
Well,
there's a
veterans-
there's a different line item for flags,
Yeah.
which is why I'm wondering what the difference between veteran flags and veteran graves are.
Usually the flags,
The
the
upkeep.
town flags, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And would it be the upkeep of the graves?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking would be the upkeep of veterans' graves that may not have
Any family
any
left?
family
Yeah.
or ownership. Generationally, just weathered graves and such.
Mhm.
Now, if they don't buy flags this year for the graves, because we have a bunch,
Would roll
that
over
just
into
stays,
free
okay,
cash.
alright.
That money would be part of our free cash money, and I found it very, very useful last year to break it down. So I will be doing that again in the upcoming fiscal year, just so that we know where our free cash is coming from. Yes, it's great to have when we have it, but if we don't know where it's coming from, it's pointless.
When you say we have a bunch, we have enough to cover.
I'm going to say yes, because I had received them through the Boy Scouts and there was way too many and I didn't feel comfortable storing them at my house, so I gave them to Paul Sweeney, and Paul Sweeney is getting me a bunch for this year to redo for the boys to go through. But they're, not to mention Paul needs them as well throughout the year if they get broken or damaged or something like that to replace throughout the year, but the boys go and do them for, before Memorial Day at all the cemeteries.
Thank you.
Alright. Culture and recreation.
Director, was that a, merit raise?
That was approved at the last meeting of the select board.
Okay, so we approved, did this change since last time, or this was, I just missed it last time?
It was approved as part of the consent agenda last time.
Okay.
The library board of trustees
Right.
asked for a increase for the library director due to her commitment and following through on getting her bachelor's degree to actually be
Ah.
named a librarian.
Okay, but this number here, was this was the number last time, or you updated this since?
This was the number last time
Okay.
because I knew of that request.
Ah, okay, alright. I just didn't
What
see that
number are you
percentage,
referencing?
the first one.
The 10.45%
Under
line item,
The director's salary.
232.
Yeah, I see it, but what number what number specifically are you talking about?
31,000.
The 10.45%.
It jumped from 28.6 to 31.6.
Okay,
I just didn't recall that.
okay.
The wage authorization was approved at our last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Debt. This includes the extra payment in an effort to keep money in the line item to ensure our ability to be able to take on an item, a large-scale capital item in FY '25.
And that's which line, 257?
That's the one that jumps by, yep, 259.
257 doesn't jump.
It does.
It went down in the request.
Yeah, it
and
went
then
down
up
in the
and up.
request and then back up, because in total, we dropped off $160,000 worth of debt heading into FY '24, as I talked about 2 meetings ago. Some of that went into the penalties for not bonding the school roof, and some of it went into the operating budget. It was my suggestion that we keep $50,000 in the line to ensure our ability to take on a capital project in the upcoming future, such as a fire truck that we are interested in.
Right, but no change over FY '23.
Nope.
Okay.
Alright. Indirect costs, which are assessments and unemployment and retirement, things that we don't really have say over. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything
What
on
is
the budget?
RMV and why does it go down so much?
What was that, sir?
RMV,
That's an assessment, so on the cherry sheet, they give you aid and then they also charge you money. That's in the charge you money portion.
what does RMV stand for?
The RMV?
Okay, I can't answer that one. So there's the you get air pollution charge, you get a charge for regional transit, RMV, they're all state assessed charges.
It doesn't stand for Registry of Motor Vehicles.
Well, it perhaps does, Nate, but it's
No,
probably purposeful and not just, I'll look it up for you, KP.
Bless you.
Thank you. Non-renewal surcharge, page 36. There's a cherry sheet manual online if you're ever really bored and wanna figure out what everything is. Please hold as I turn to page 36. RMV non-renewal surcharge to reimburse the Registry of Motor Vehicles for quote-unquote marking a license or registration for non-renewal due to non-payment of parking violations, non-payment of motor vehicle excise, non-payment of abandoned vehicle costs. So essentially, if the town has someone who doesn't pay their excise tax.
So it's an administrative fee. That's what it boils down to.
Yep. It says the Registry of Motor Vehicles charges each participating municipality $20 for each quote-unquote mark of a license for non-renewal. The upcoming fiscal year's actual assessments are based upon non-renewal obligations cleared in the prior fiscal. The obligations cleared in the current fiscal year may be for quote-unquote markings from several fiscal years. Administration, the municipality collects $20 surcharge per violation for non-payment of excise from individual violators. Surcharge enables the municipality to offset the $20 charge per marking assessed by the RMV. The RMV non-renewal surcharge estimated assessments will be based on the most current information we have when the cherry sheets are prepared. We all feel more educated now on RMV non-renewal assessments?
Yep.
Okay, we all learned something.
I do
new.
now. Explain to me why it went down 46.52%.
Because we marked 42.62% less
Delinquency.
licenses last year.
So more people paid their bill.
Right.
We marked less people as non-paid.
My assumption would be during COVID, a larger number of people did not pay their excise tax. And now that we're on the other side.
They need to drive again. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything on the budget?
Any other questions for
whole?
Nate? Okay,
As I stated before, the budget doesn't have much fat. It's, most of the increases are severely needed by the departments. The department heads and their staff were all very good this year during our budget sessions on making sure that they weren't asking for wants and only asking for needs. I hope someday to be able to kind of right the ship on that and be able to work with them to progress instead of just keep the ship afloat. But that is where we are for now, and that's a budget that we can withhold all of our, not withhold, we can keep all of our services running. We don't have to let anyone go or drop anything, and we actually add a few things.
well done. Could we get a motion to endorse the FY24 budget?
I'll make a motion to endorse the FY24 budget.
Second.
Motion made and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. So moved. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
Item B, authorize the acceptance of gifts, welcome sign, North Central Chamber of Commerce. Again, I'll have Nate to fill in everybody who
All
may not
right,
know.
if
There it is
everyone
up there.
could look up at the screen, there is.
Does it come with the blue and the clouds and the flowers?
It does.
It's super fun.
Yeah, no, so the long story short here is during my entry findings, which I will be presenting at our next meeting, one of my meetings was with the North Central Chamber of Commerce. Katie attended the meeting with me, and we talked to the North Central Chamber of Commerce, as we are one of their communities being in North Central Massachusetts. During this meeting, we talked about ways that businesses in Hubbardston could work with the chamber and through their programs. They will be coming to a session that I'm going to be hosting down the road for businesses to look into different opportunities that they have through organizations such as the workforce units for the state, Chambers of Commerce, and the Wachusett Business Incubator in Gardner, which all serve the town of Hubbardston. That same day, the president and CEO of the North Central Chamber of Commerce offered to gift the town a large sign. It is something that he and the organization are doing in most other communities. I know Gardner has one, Westminster has one, Fitchburg, Leominster. They're working their way through, and it is, if we're being honest, mostly about that endorsement and that sponsorship opportunity for them. However, it was still nice. It is a multi-$1,000 gift. They're willing to put it up, handle all the costs associated with the building of the sign, putting up the sign. All the town would have to do is provide a spot that we want it to be and agree to maintain the sign and make sure that it doesn't look awful. I had this endorsed by the Economic Development Committee this past week, and they did, however, ask that I seek to change the logo into an apple to match our other signs, and to make sure that the green matches the other green, which I'm sure they'll be willing to do. This was just a really quick rendering that the company gave to the chamber when he made the offer.
Okay, I give up Apple.
For a non-such.
Non-such.
Because the town seal kind of turns into a big blob,
Okay,
because we have such an ornate town seal
okay,
that you can't see it, like you can't tell what that is from here, and that's basically what you see when you drive by.
okay.
So when we did the other two as the EDC, when we did the other two signs that are there, we went with a silhouette of the apple to represent the non-such, which is also on the town seal and is a thing for the town. It's
Okay.
our apple.
Okay.
So the EDC basically wanted them to look a little more uniform like the others,
Okay.
so.
And what are the pillars on the side of that made of? Made they wood?
No, it's the
Plastic?
plastic decking.
Yeah,
Okay.
vinyl, probably.
Okay.
PVC.
And where's it gonna go?
We were talking about
That's the
if
next
that's
debate. That's the next debate.
That's the big to-do. We've been talking about putting it on the most traveled road in Hubbardston coming in from Gardner. That being if the DPW can remove the old one.
And put it to a new location.
And put it to a new location, the next heaviest traveled road. But there is a chance, and Travis is checking it out, that the person who installed the sign just wung it and poured concrete, so it may be difficult. So we may be back at the drawing board for where to put the sign, but I can keep you all in the loop.
Well, they got a brand new excavator, don't they? Let 'em
Well,
go
we don't
take-
wanna ruin the sign, cause that
No,
sign
but
is
you can
very
dig around the
expensive and-
footings.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
pull it out in one piece.
So it sounds like what you're looking here for is an authorization for the acceptance of the gift today, and you'll
Yep.
have a suggested location for us, upon receiving said gift.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, would you accept a motion?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize Nate on behalf of the Hubbardston Select Board to accept the gift of the welcome sign from the North Central Chamber of Commerce and to issue a thank you note.
Okay, motion made
Second.
and second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank them, yes.
Speaking of thank you notes, I have Hubbardston cards if any of you ever need to write someone a note with the logo on it.
Oh, great.
So
Been very nice.
Okay, item C, the Board of Health
Yeah,
document
can I grab a
storage.
couple of those on my way out?
Board of Health document storage correspondence. You just basically need the motion here.
Yeah, I just need a motion to place this correspondence on file. I went to the Board of Health meeting. We had a very cordial conversation. They were under the impression that there were no checks and balances to the destruction of permanent documents. When I spoke to them about how we needed to submit a document to the Secretary of State's office prior to gaining approval to destroy anything, it changed their view on it. I'm going to keep them in the loop on what we're doing this whole time while we do this and while we finish the project, because a lot of their sentiment and being upset about this was because they weren't up to date, they didn't know what was going on. I don't blame anyone for that. I think this project started before a pandemic and it continued through. Everyone involved in the project would have liked it to go smoother and be done 2 years ago like it was supposed to be. So hindsight is 20/20, and in the future, if we do any document scanning projects, we will ensure to keep everyone involved and up to date.
Any questions on this? If not, we got a motion to accept the correspondence and to place it on file.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any questions, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Old business. Public Safety Building Committee charge. Okay, if you want.
All right, per instruction at our last meeting, I drafted a quick committee charge. I can print it out if people would like. If not, I have it up on the screen. Was hoping to open that for any amendments, changes, or additions prior to a hopeful motion to accept and begin seeking volunteer members.
Are there any questions? If not, we get a motion to accept the Public Safety Building Committee charge and instruct the town administrator to advertise for volunteers.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carried. TA report.
Second. As I'm sure you are aware, because I'm not the first Hubbardston Town Administrator to do this, long-form versions of all of my TA reports are on the Town Administrator's webpage. I will save you the bore of sitting here and reading it, so I will shorten it. Over the last few weeks.
Can I jump in right here, Nate,
Yeah.
before you get started? Did you
Yes.
put this in our Google Drive? I'm not seeing it out there.
I haven't been putting it in before,
Okay,
but I can.
yes, please.
Over the last few weeks, we've been welcoming the new members of our team. That's been taking up a good amount of time, with Candace and Mary fitting in very, very well. Things have been on the up and up and are really going well at this moment in time. I'm gonna knock on wood and hope that it stays in that direction. The last week, I attended a meeting of the Ad Hoc Open Space Plan Committee, and it was one of the best meetings I've been to since starting here. We did basically a SWOT analysis of what the different liaisons and representatives of the different organizations and entities feel are the strengths and weaknesses of the community moving forward.
What was that analysis? What
It's
analysis?
SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay.
That's what that means. And so we went through and wrote, basically, to summarize, what you liked about Hubbardston in the past, what you would like to change right now, and what you would like to see in the future that would make you happy. We went through all 3 individual timeframes, and then everyone was given stickers. And we walked around and put our stickers on the wall. It was quite the event. But it was.
What committee was this? Ad hoc committee?
The Ad hoc Open Space and Recreation Plan
Okay.
Committee.
That explains why Chris was gone so long.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was an interesting meeting. There was a lot of good stuff that came out of
There was
that.
it was good.
We had stickers.
We had stickers, yeah.
How can you go wrong when you have stickers?
They were getting-
Jeff, can we have stickers at our next meeting?
It's like the stickers they put on milk, you
Wants-
know?
wants
It's
the
nothing good.
stars.
Gold star, please.
Yeah, gold stars.
But that was, it was a good meeting, and I think a lot of good input came out of it. The open space plan will likely hold a better value because of that meeting. And it opened my eyes to a lot of the facts that people in town all understand what the problems are. We have different kind of beliefs on how to fix said problems, but a lot of people are in the same boat. I attended the meeting of the Economic Development Committee last week. We spoke about doing a number of projects, but I did want to note that the new members of this committee are bright, and I think a lot of good things are gonna come out of their involvement. It was great to see, I believe, 3 new members on the committee, so that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going,
Why? Why, all of a sudden?
I'm going to make
People
a,
wanna join,
Really?
yes.
That's great.
I'm going to make an impassioned plea to the tens of people watching this
Tens and
meeting.
tens.
Tens and tens and tens. Please volunteer. We're going to be reaching out for the new year, new re-up for volunteer boards and committees. So take a look at what is open and what ways you can get involved in your community. It is awesome. Budget and Finance, I put out the Q3 revenue and expenditures report on the Budget and Finance page, and also sent it out to everyone's emails. You can check that out on the website. We are running right where we should be. There are a couple of accounts that went over, but mostly being the legal account. So we will likely have to make some financial moves at the end of the year to cover those, but we will do what we have to do, because legal is a variable. Town meeting, I've put out the first draft of the town meeting warrant. We reviewed it at the last meeting. A second draft will be coming this week. I did receive correspondence from the Quabbin Regional School District that they want to add some debt items to the warrant, so I will wait until I hear from them on a number. It's for a press box and something else.
Keep spending.
No, they didn't fundraise. We told them specifically
We
when
did.
they came here
Yes,
to
we did.
fundraise for it, there was
And they
one,
didn't.
well, there's one. One.
So now they want us to pay for it.
But you can't just do one fundraiser and expect miracles.
No.
This is gonna be a repetitive, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I missed something there.
Remember when Sheila came here and was talking to us about a press box and bleachers?
Oh, for the school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what she wants to put on
That's
the
what they wanna put
article,
an
they want the
article
towns
up
to pay for it.
to borrow.
Sure, if they reduce their 6%, that is our max for them, down to 5%, that 1% would free up the cost for us to be able to contribute to such a lovely project.
Yeah, I can tell you what the other thing is right now.
That's ridiculous.
That's,
I remember that conversation we
Yeah.
had with her, yeah.
yeah,
And she totally agreed.
Yeah.
And it sat in her hands.
the alumni, I'm pretty sure was the one that
So you're gonna
was
put that
behind.
on the warrant to see if the select board,
Definitely.
votes to support keeping it on the warrant?
Yeah, that ain't
Well, don't we have to open the warrant to even put it on?
we could open the warrant to have discussion and determine whether or not the board as a whole feels we should put it on the warrant.
It is for,
I just.
But does it seem like it's on the agenda for tonight, so
No,
I
it's
wouldn't wanna
definitely not on the
take,
agenda
take that
for
away.
We'll
the
deal with it.
other one is a chiller.
A chiller, like a
Chiller
refrigerator?
replacement.
For the, calf or for the AC?
Probably AC. Or it's chillers, chiller.
Do they have an amount for the chiller to give us an idea of what they're looking for? That seems like a borrowing letter, I don't like those.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I'm sure they're not cheap.
No, the dollar amount is blank.
So Heather, is this
It's
something you
like-
wanted to do now?
Replace the
Have-
chiller system
I'll put it on
at
the
the
next meeting
Quabbin
to
Regional
open it
Middle
up.
School,
Okay.
including for each such projects.
Where is the Quabbin Regional Middle School?
That's the
Right
Quabbin.
next to the,
The middle school is,
Okay.
addition.
And what is a chiller?
It chills the water for your air conditioning. Chilled water system. So those big things, big silver things you see on buildings, it's actually got water trickling down.
So Nate, for the next meeting, could we put it on the agenda as to whether we wanna open up a warrant again to amend some of these things?
And that, do they have, is they
So-
gonna give us dollar amounts? Cause that's.
I told them that
What?
I,
Why do we have to pay for their chiller and they won't pay for our boiler? And this is part of their district. I don't understand this.
Catch 22.
I don't
Well,
understand.
what's the cost of the
It's-
boiler? It's over 10,000.
it's, yeah.
It's over 10,000, that means we have to pay for it.
Well, a chiller's gonna be
And
50 or
anything
100.
under 10,000, they would
Yeah.
have to pick it up.
so they're suggesting in this, under the voter thing, in their little blurb, that they don't want this to go to a debt exclusion vote, so they're saying that this would be a one-time piece, probably funded under a free cash, I imagine. Cause that's the only option, or a capital exclusion, but they don't want it to be voted on by the people.
How did, so what, they just want it in just a budget line?
They just wanna say, yeah, okay, yeah, here's a number.
This one is a article for a special appropriation from free cash. What's the tune again? Tune of what for
It
both of
doesn't-
those projects?
don't give
It
it
doesn't
up.
say.
Oh, and
They-
neither of them we don't
no.
know?
They are going to provide us with an estimate in the coming weeks. I told them that the latest they could give it to me would be May 11th, because I have to bring the warrant at the May 15th meeting.
Is this something they just came up with?
Yep, towards the end of last week.
Did that, so hasn't gone through our capital improvement committee?
It has not.
Don't our rules and regulations all say that all capital projects must go through our capital improvement
I'd have
committee?
to look back at what we have done in the past. I do not believe that articles that have been requested in this manner for school debt, which is already in our budget, so clearly it's passed at one point, went through the capital improvement committee.
And are these projects that all of the schools would have to agree to, cause they're
These are
further-
projects that all of the towns would have to agree to.
But with
Because
that,
they're up at the Quabbin, so therefore, when
All
Seattle High
towns
School.
or a majority of the towns?
Majority of the towns.
So
It would be the same way as the budget.
3 out of 5.
Well, they're not gonna say no, I mean, they want their children to be comfortable. I just don't understand how they just,
Well, it sounds like we need more details on this.
for sure,
Costs, timelines.
why all of a sudden? Something they knew about last year?
Are you looking at something, or is that
No.
for the TA report?
No, I will
Okay.
be doing a video and kind of document for the annual town meeting review, breaking it down for residents to
They're
watch,
fucking unbelievable.
and or read before the meeting. How did that even come up? Like, communications with people and residents have been coming and stating that they are happy with the increase in communications from the town. Our Facebook numbers are up, our numbers of engagement on the website are up, and that will all be part of my presentation at the next meeting. I look forward to doing other communications initiatives. People do seem to like it, as shown with the increase in attendance at the public hearing. It wasn't a crazy amount of people, but it was an increase over a normal meeting.
Mike's people, come on.
Uh,
Or one guest.
Mike is people.
Mike is people, our tens and tens of views.
On Monday, April 24th, we had a small gathering. A few of you did attend to thank outgoing town clerk Kristen Foster and welcome incoming town clerk Candace Livingston. I would like to thank Kristen for her willingness to stay that extra few weeks and wish her the best in whatever she chooses to do in the future. Procurement, we ended up reopening the RFP for the DPW garage roof because the original estimate on the insurance company and legal agreed that we should have a $1 million umbrella policy on top of that, simply because there are people on a roof. So I reopened that. It is due on the 15th. Sent it out to the company that had previously received the contract, apologized to them time and time again, but it is what it is, and we have to do what legal and insurance asks us to do in order to maintain the safest we can be.
Sure, absolutely.
The procurement for the Slade Building senior deck will begin in the coming weeks. Claudia has been discussing that with me, and I look forward to working with her on that. Personnel recognition, I would like to recognize Dennis O'Donnell. Dennis unfortunately has passed away. It is with a very heavy heart that I announce that. He was a select board member in the early 2000s, a moderator for I believe a couple of years, a constable for a few years. I will get the years and do a mailing in the email server about this, but I would like to thank Dennis for his service in commitment to the town of Hubbardston, and give our condolences to his wife Judy. If there is a motion, I would appreciate one to send a letter to Judy on behalf of the select board and the town administrator.
Absolutely.
I will definitely make that motion.
Second.
Motion made, second, any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to point out, because Dennis was that kind of an individual, and with his history with the town, as long as I've been on the board, every time we had a need, because let's say someone resigned unexpectedly, or we didn't have a moderator, or this or that, Dennis was the go-to guy, and he would always step in and do it. So, he was a big help, and he, I enjoyed his friendship a lot, and he will be missed, and we thank him. Okay.
Thank you. And then the last thing I have is, for those that are interested, the Planning Board and Board of Health will be hosting a public meeting regarding marijuana odor on Wednesday at 7 p.m.
And this pertains to old complaints,
And
right?
this-
This does not, this is nothing new, this is simply a thorough review of what came in last year in preparation for this year's season.
Yep.
And
It
it's a
is-
joint between BOH and Planning Board.
Yes. Just making sure 7 is the time.
Well, it's on Wednesday, right? Usually Planning
Yep.
Board starts at
7.
6:30, but.
Yep. So that should be an interesting meeting.
Session
Both
where you wanna make the
owners
motion.
of both farms will be there. And that is all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Policies to review, I don't believe we have any. Matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Chris, you said you had some items when you came in, or was that taken care of? You have questions?
No, I'm all good.
All set?
I
Okay.
have one question.
Go ahead.
It's back to the school. Have we found out what they've given the teachers for raises for FY? We haven't.
Not yet.
They're still in
Yeah,
negotiation.
they're still in
Yeah.
negotiation.
I thought they already, I read in Barry paper, it was all set.
Well, I'd have to look into that for
That
you.
was
I didn't-
that was
I
last
wasn't
2
aware of
weeks
that. I
ago.
thought
No,
they were
they
still in
posted, they
negotiations.
posted a meeting in executive session late last week,
Mm.
so.
Okay. Guess I got the info wrong in the paper then.
Okay, any other, matters? Okay. Okay, any public or press questions? Seeing none. See you later, Mike, thank you. We're gonna enter into executive session now, and then we'll return to open session for the sole purpose of adjournment. Katie, if you would,
Yep, executive session pursuant to GL chapter.
make a motion.
Oh, sorry, I
move
would
it.
like to make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to GL chapter 30A, section 21A, purpose 3, to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining or litigation in an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's bargaining or litigation position. Also, to conduct strategy sessions in participation for negotiation with non-union personnel, to act, shoot, I just lost my spot.
To actually, Conduct.
Oh, there we go, to actually conduct collective bargaining and contract negotiations with non-union personnel, DPW, union member of understanding.
You need
Second.
memo.
Sorry, memo,
Yeah.
I apologize.
Peter, I was just showing you that.
Motion made,
second,
Wednesday, May 3rd, okay.
Yeah,
and
and that-
discussion,
and
this
that's
is a roll
executives.
call vote, so, Peter,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Heather,
yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Jeff, yes, we're now in executive session.
Is that all?